It's been a difficult 3 years, as Brian said, for Kairos since the 2019 conference at Bonny Hills, on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. But doesn't it feel great, to be back together again? To start singing again, as this body of Christians, the friendship and the fellowship that we associate with this great ministry. So much has changed over those COVID years. In May 2019, just before the August 19 conference, the board released a 5-year plan for the ministry. We were excited, preparing for good things. In February 2020, COVID arrived. 9 months after the release of our brilliant plan, everything was turned up. What started out with COVID, we thought as a problem that we could solve simply by trying to maintain enthusiasm amongst our volunteers. But slowly, the problem became chronic. And we just lost programs. We lost the way we meet, the way we communicate, the way we raise funds. Almost everything that we built and relied on was gone. And all that time, the environment in which we worked was also changing, big time. The prisons, as Brian has just suggested, are only now opening up to Kairos inside, but there's many changes taking place within the prison system. And Kairos outside has had to grapple with ever-changing rules with repeated cycles of hope, followed by further disappointment. Yet, here we are. Here you are. We may be a bit battered and bruised, but we've survived. And I congratulate you. I thank you. Not only those who are at the conference, but all those volunteers faithful to our calling throughout the ministry. As I said, much has changed in the world, inside and outside the ministry, but the key things which drive us haven't changed. They never change. The need for people in prisons and their families and friends to hear the message of Jesus set out in Matthew 25:36 is just as strong now as it was 2,000 years ago. And our commitment to that calling remains as strong, if not stronger, than before. The regional committees that you represent here are the bedrock, the heart of the ministry. You recruit, you train, you manage volunteers to run short courses on weekends for those whom we have been called to serve. But for most of you, COVID has just put a pause on these actual functions for almost 3 years. But there's another side to the ministry. There are those who provide in various ways to enable those things to happen. The state councils, the regional committees, program support, leadership training, Ezra support, the Kairos Support Office, and the directors, of which I'm the chair of the board. For those of us going out from here on in, this is what we'll be calling the non-program side of the ministry as we go through this weekend. And that side, the non-program side over those 3 years, has been very busy. In the absence of programs, we've had the first ever opportunity to examine all of the support side of the ministry and to gain new insights into how we can do that side of the ministry better. Our 5-year plan, pre-COVID, identified a number of areas which we believe needed repair. We reviewed all of those areas, along with those additional issues which have been thrown up from COVID. We, your directors, are bringing to this conference plans for the return of programs with better support from the non-program side of the ministry, including a change in our governance. I'm talking about all the details tomorrow, to ensure that all of our efforts from here on are directed to the single task of returning to programs by each region as soon as possible. That's our goal. That's what the directors have set as our target. In one sense, the delay has a fortunate benefit. We come together today as we see a number of green shoots in our environment. Brian's just mentioned a few, which give us some encouragement, but give us hope. Our outside world of prisons and communities is stabilising. The prospect of recurring disappointments is receding. And if 2022 goes as planned, we will have completed 6 KI and 6 KO programs. Still a few months to go, fingers crossed, please God. That means in 2022, we've come back to about a third of our long-term average of the number of programs we run per year. Next year, 2023, hoped for that there's enough support to get to around half of our long-term average. But this year, there's also some prospects of new regions being brought to life and the re-establishment of some we thought might have been lost. We believe now is the time to release the handbrake and get going. Throw off the doona. Waste no more time. Throw off the shackles of doubt. You get the idea. Yep. I can't think of any more. If you think of any more, let me know. You get the idea. I love throw off the doona. I think it's about time. Which brings me to the rest of the conference. A couple of quick notes. Saturday, the day after tomorrow, is devoted wholly to the regions and what is needed to return as soon as possible for each region, and noting each region's particular needs, because we're well aware that all regions are at a different stage. But the world we are returning to has changed, and the support we can offer, which we'll be talking about tomorrow, we hope will make life easier, simpler, and more focused in achieving that goal. These plans, which we'll be talking about tomorrow, the Friday, for the ministry, are not just to get us returning. They're plans that we've developed for the next decade of this ministry. In my first session tomorrow morning, I'll set out in more detail how we can provide better support to the regions and why we have chosen the particular paths in which we can do that. This conference and the changes that we'll be exploring over the weekend are all directed to this simple goal of finding the fastest path for this ministry to return to short courses and weekends, and growing, this is what it's all about, and growing the number of guests and participants who hear the message we have been called to give. It's not just running programs. We're not here to run programs. We're here to bring the message to those guests and participants. That's what this conference is about. You have the opportunity over these next couple of days to give us feedback about what we're planning on the non-program side to help you people bring that about. I look forward with great enthusiasm and excitement to the exchanges which will take place over the next few days.